Welcome to the Brick by Brick podcast with Ronald Pauleus. This episode will be a little bit different. This episode's for you. All of the other episodes I've had so far have been for you. It have been for me as we dive in a little bit into real estate. But this is an entrepreneurial podcast. And the reason for that is because I know there are so many people, everyday people, just like you, ordinary people, just like you, who for whatever reason have something holding them back. I mean, mountains, challenges, excuses, different things that pop into your mind right now that lead you to the conclusion, I can't start that business. I can't do that thing. I can't chase that dream. You see, my Brick by Brick podcast logo, I was pondering and brainstorming, okay, what would be the thing that would communicate the idea just at a glance that I have planted in my heart? And so I was brainstorming, looking at different things, and saw a wall being built by brick. And I thought to myself, nah, that's not what I want. I don't want people to look at the podcast and think, oh, it's a wall being built that is keeping people out. So I kept looking, and I found a road. And I thought to myself, that's it. You see, this entrepreneurial path, this path that many have taken, I want you to realize that you can take it too. It's not a path that is only for the rich. It's not a path that's only for those in the elite clubs and those who are at that certain college, that certain university, that come from that certain background, that have that certain family lineage, who have that certain amount of resources. No. Brick by brick, you can build a path that you want. It's not cut off. You can do it. I think so many people have something holding them back. What is it for you? Let me ask you this. What would your life be like if you took that leap? If you took the steps to start that business? If you took the steps to chase that dream? What would your life be like if you started walking on that road made of brick? The road that's a solid foundation. What would it look like? And so today I just want to share a few principles that if you could ponder them as you're driving, think about them as you're going to the next thing, I think you'll find great benefit. First principle I want to highlight is this: start where you are. Start where you are. Too many people let the idea of I'll start when hold them back. I'll start when I have more time. I'll start when the kids are teenagers. I'll start when I have more freedom. I'll start when things slow down. I used to hear this saying a lot when I was younger and in college, but I felt while I was in high school, in college, I was swamped with homework, assignments, projects, and this and that to do, and this event to go to, and this place to volunteer at. And I would say to myself, in the presence of my teachers and professors, that I can't wait to graduate so I can have more time. And they would say, actually, Ron, it gets busier after you graduate. And I said to myself, there's no way. I mean, I have 6, 7 a.m. classes. I'm working part-time in the evenings after I get off work. I'm doing homework. I'm going to services. I'm doing this and I'm doing. There's no way it gets busier. And it started to dawn on me. It's not that your day gets filled with more activities, not necessarily. I realize the day gets filled with activities that weigh more. Yeah, I'm a high school teacher, right? And the day is filled with a regular 9 to 5, if you will. But then there's assignments I have to prep for. There's assignments that I have to grade. There's parents I have to talk to. There's emails I have to send. The day gets busier. The day gets filled with activities that weigh more and drain you. And you get to the end of your day and you say, oh, I just want to sit. I just want to rest. So many people let that excuse stop them. I'll start when. No, start where you are and start with what you have. If you wait until that thing comes, until you have your hand on that resource, it either won't come, or when it does, you'll give yourself another moving milestone. I'll start when I have that. Start where you are. Start where you are. And you may be a perfectionist. And so I'll say this. The next principle being, take imperfect action. Now I understand that there are some actions that have more risk related to it. But don't let that stop you. Don't let that stop you. Take imperfect action. Start where you are. Realize this, that even if you spent 10, 20 years researching and getting ready to do the thing, you'll start doing the thing and you'll make mistakes. The reason for that is there's knowledge and theory, and then there's life. You start walking and you fall. It's like driving. When I was learning to drive, I had the understanding and concept. This is the brake. This is the gas pedal. Go. Steering. I had the concept. It's just when I got into a place in a situation where I started putting the theory and knowledge I acquired into practice, that bridge was a little wobbly, but I had to keep going. Now I've been driving 11 years, 10 years. Take the imperfect action. It's like when I was learning how to drive a stick shift. My first vehicle just got totaled, actually. Bad accident. I'm okay. The person that was at fault is also okay. Insurance has totaled my vehicle, and I'll be getting a settlement. So it's sad that my first vehicle that I purchased with my own money has gone. But when I was learning to drive that vehicle, I didn't know how to drive manual at all. I mean, I don't even think I was ever in a manual vehicle, not that I was aware of, when I was younger. And so the car lot person, or the owner of the car lot, called a friend to teach me how to drive manual. So I pulled up to this car lot, and I say car lot in parentheses because it was a dude who was a nurse who his side business was to sell vehicles. He fixed them up and then he sold them, and all the vehicles are just in the front of his yard, just all right there. And so the city got on him, and eventually he got his own place to park them, and so his own shop. But I didn't know how to drive, and I told him I need to leave today with the vehicle. I need to, one, the ride that I had who brought me here, they left. So I need a way back home. Two, I think school is about to start, and school is about to start, and I needed college out, that is, and I needed to be able to make it. I was tired of taking public transportation, and plus I was moving almost 2 hours away from home, so I needed a vehicle. And so I came up to the lot, didn't know anything about a manual. The one automatic car that was on the lower end price-wise was out of my budget, and I had a specific budget. I needed to stay within a price range, and that included getting a license plate, transferring title, all the things. I told them that this is my budget. And so I was walking among the cars, and I saw the red Corolla there, and I said, "Oh, what's that about? What's the price on that?" He chuckled, said, "Do you know how to drive stick shift?" I said, "No, but what's the price?" And I think it was about 3,500, something to that effect. And he said 3,500, and I said, "Well, I'm gonna learn how to drive manual today." And he thought I was joking. I was serious. I was determined. And so he called his friend. His friend got me in the vehicle. I'm in the passenger side of this red Toyota, really nice, and he's taking me around the block. He says, "Okay, there's 3 pedals here." My mind is just blown. 3 pedals. What? Okay, this one is this is where you have to push this down to make sure you can shift. There's 5 gears, reverses all the way to the back, and you have to use both of your feet here, not just one. It's just, if you've ever driven a manual, I can imagine you would relate to me first learning. Took me around the block. I got the concept down. You push this pedal down, you put it into gear, and you take your feet off just a little bit, just slowly, and you put gas, and then you start to go. And then it gets to a certain speed, and you go to second. Gets to a certain speed, you go to third, fourth, fifth, and now you're cruising. And I got the theory that day. I mean, it's an easy concept. Just exactly what I told you. That's all you need to drive a manual. But get this. Every time I started to drive that vehicle, I stalled. And he said, "You're taking your feet off too fast." It's like, how slow can I go? I stalled 100 times. I just in the process of learning. Someone else had to bring the vehicle to my home because I couldn't drive it back. I couldn't get it off of first gear. The times I did get off of first gear, it was I was cruising the rest of the time. But first gear was killing me. And so the person got it back to my house. I told that person, "Hey, I need some more training with this. I got school tomorrow. I got to go. Could you take me around the block?" And so they did. And here I am again. Push that down. First gear. Stalling. And then I started to get it. Then I started to get off of first, repeatedly, consistently. Then I started, oh, okay, I'm in second now. And this person who brought the vehicle is celebrating with me in this red Corolla that I just purchased that I didn't know how to drive. The car lot person, the car dealer, he said, which was so bizarre to me, he said, don't drive this. You're going to get into an accident or stall in the middle of the road and you're going to have to call me to come get you. And I said to my mind, dude, how am I supposed to learn to drive if I don't drive? You see, theory and knowledge only takes you so far. Now, it's vital. It's important to know. It's important to have. But it's not until you start to put that theory and knowledge into practice. It's not until you start to take imperfect action that the bridge between the two start to connect and build. You start to realize, oh, okay, there are times where you have to take your foot off that pedal real slow, but there are other times where you can take it off faster and the car goes. There are times where you can do this and you can do that, and that will work. You put this in and this comes out. It's not until you take that imperfect action that your theory becomes working theory and working knowledge. And you learn while you go. I point you to my other podcast, the bonus podcast I shared called Two Things. And the thing that made a difference with me learning how to drive that manual was a mentor. It was someone who knew how to drive a 5-speed. Someone who was confident in their ability to drive a 5-speed. And someone who could communicate to me, someone else who needed to learn how to drive a 5-speed. And so that guy, he took me around the block, gave me the concept. That hour, I knew the theory. Got home after all the paperwork was done. Somebody brought the vehicle over. Another mentor. And this time, instead of being in the passenger seat, they allowed me to be in the driver. And they said, hey, keep going. Take your foot off slower. Okay, go into second gear. Go into third. Keep going to fourth. And it was in the presence of someone who knew how to do the thing that I started to get better. And then finally, 12 hours later, I was on my way to school, still stalling, still learning, still a little, oh, okay, all right, slow. I mean, I hated red lights and stop signs. I hated traffic. It's like, I got to get off of first 20 times. But that was 6 years ago. And now I've driven that Toyota Corolla from Florida to Oklahoma twice. From Florida to Kansas. From Kansas back to Florida. And my precious mom, every time I took a cross-country trip, said to me, "You're going in that thing?" Yes, that thing. Now that thing is gone and totaled, so I have to get another thing. Take the imperfect action. Learn as you go. Don't let the possibility and the potential to make mistakes, not even potential. Don't let the reality that you will make a mistake stop you from doing the thing. You'll get better. And 6 years later, you'll say to yourself, I really had a problem getting off of first gear. And then you'll have passengers. Then you'll have friends who are in the stick shift car with you, who are in the manual car with you, and you're driving, and 20 minutes in, for some reason, they glance down and they say, oh, I didn't know this was a manual. Oh, boy. If you were in that vehicle when I was first learning how to drive, you would have known it was a manual. Do, 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 do. Oh, man, what's wrong with the car? Oh, it's a 5-speed. I can't get off first gear. You start doing a thing and you get so good at it, or you get good enough, and people are like, oh, wow, I didn't know that was manual. Start doing the thing. Start taking action. Start where you are. And realize that down the road, you will be better. Jim Rohn, he shares this quote. So powerful. Makes a statement. So powerful. And I leave it with you today. Leave it with you today. Listen to this. He said, let others lead small lives, but not you. Let others argue over small things, but not you. Let others cry over small hurts, but not you. Let others leave their future in someone else's hands, but not you. It's a brick road. It's a path you can take. It's a path you can build yourself. It's a path that's open to and for you. What's holding you back? What's holding you back?